When I was younger, especially before the internet was everywhere, I read constantly. I could disappear into books for hours without thinking about it. I didn't track it, I didn't build a habit, I didn't need a system. Reading just happened and it felt effortless. But as I got older, that changed, and part of it is obvious. Phones, internet, constant stimulation. But another big part is that I have ADHD and attention doesn't really work the same way for me. Now I go through these phases where I can't read at all. I'll sit down with a book that I genuinely want to read and I'll just keep reading the same paragraph again and again. The words technically go in, but nothing sticks. I don't feel inside the story and my attention drifts. I start thinking about something else and then suddenly I'm checking my phone or staring at the wall. And then I stop trying. Weeks go by, sometimes months, sometimes even years. And this isn't a one-time thing, it happens pretty regularly. For a long time, I thought this meant I lost my love for reading, or that my brain was just broken now, or that I needed to force myself harder. But over time, I noticed this. Whenever I did get out of a reading slump, I was usually doing the same thing, even if I didn't realize it at the time. And that's what I want to share today because it's something that genuinely helped me read again. So what I do is I pick a book, either a physical book or an ebook. Then I find the audiobook for the exact same book. I choose a narrator whose voice I actually like, which matters a lot for me, and I adjust the speed, usually a bit faster, until it feels natural. And then I listen to the audiobook while reading the text at the same time. That's it, I just read and listen together. And what surprised me most is how much more I remember when I read like this. Normally I forget details pretty quickly, like I'll remember the general vibe of the book, but not much else. But when I use this method, the story sticks, like I remember characters, scenes, and even exact lines sometimes. And another interesting thing is that after I finish reading a book this way, I can usually keep reading normally again. Like just the book, no audio, at least for a while. It's like this method pulls me back into reading. It reminds my brain what it feels like to actually be inside a story. And apparently there's actually a name for this. It's called immersion reading. It basically means consuming the same content through more than one channel at the same time, visual and auditory. Your eyes are reading the words and your ears are hearing them spoken. And your brain is processing both. And for ADHD brains, this can really be helpful. Like one of the biggest problems I have when I'm reading is the mental empty space. The space where my eyes are moving across the page, but my mind slips away. When I'm reading and listening, there's less room for that to happen. The audio kind of anchors me and it keeps the pace moving. It pulls my attention back when it starts to drift. There's some research that shows that combining audio and text can actually improve focus, comprehension, and recall, especially for people who struggle with sustained attention. And your memory literally strengthens. And that's exactly what I experienced with this method. Just reading can feel boring, and audiobooks alone can just turn into background noise, but the two together just work. And for me, reading this way doesn't just make reading doable, it also makes it way more satisfying, especially during those periods where reading feels almost inaccessible. This method is of course not perfect, and the biggest downside is cost. You're buying both the book and the audiobook, and that's not realistic for everyone. But you don't have to spend money to try this. A lot of classic books are in the public domain, and you can find both the ebook and the audiobook for free. I've personally read Jane Eyre, Anne of Green Gables, and A Room of One's Own this way, completely free. If you just want to test whether this works for you, then starting with public domain books is a really good option. And this method won't work for everyone, obviously. Some people find doing two things at once distracting or overwhelming. But if you're curious, let's do a quick test. First, read this silently on your own. Okay, now listen to me read this while you follow along with your eyes. The house felt still, as if it were holding its breath. Dust floated through the air in the late afternoon light. Somewhere nearby, a door closed softly. The sound lingered longer than it should have. She stayed where she was, listening, unsure whether the quiet meant peace or something about to happen. Did you notice any difference? Maybe not. My voice, pace, or accent might not have worked for you and you didn't feel any change at all. But if you noticed a slight increase in focus, or if it felt a bit easier to stay present, then that's a sign that it might be worth experimenting with. And this is how I'm going to be reading my next book, because I'm in kind of a reading slump right now. Whatever I start reading, I just can't continue. So I got this book gifted to me. It's Dubliners by James Joyce. So I've been reading books on my e-reader since I started living a digital nomad lifestyle because I just can't carry around physical books with me wherever I move. But I missed reading like this and I am excited to get back to it. And I've always wanted to read this book like for a very long time. And I tried reading it a couple of times before, like years ago, but I just couldn't continue. But this time I found a good audiobook. And the narrator actually has an Irish accent. And I think I'm going to thoroughly enjoy reading it like this. Like it will be much more immersive, I think. And I would like to tell you the name of the narrator, but it is actually a very hard name to read. So I'm just gonna put it here and you can check it out if you want to. This method can also be used for studying actually. What you can do is you can get the material that you want to study, for example, a chapter from a textbook, and you record yourself reading it out loud. For more technical subjects like physics, you can just explain the material as you go. And later you listen to the recording while following along with the text, maybe a couple of times. Doing both at the same time helps the information stick and makes it easier to remember what you studied. So that's the method that I genuinely enjoy using to read books. It helps me get out of reading slumps and actually makes me want to read more. If you decide to try it, please let me know how it goes. I would really love to hear about your experience. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!